Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's story. In this episode, Tuna's world is shaken when she suffers a sudden accident while carrying Alex's child. Though her leg is badly injured, the greatest fear is for the life growing inside her. As Alex rushes to her side, their love and determination are tested in ways neither expected. Will their child survive, or will fate take everything from them? Stay with us until the end of the video. And don't forget to subscribe to help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Your support truly means the world to us. The marketplace buzzed with life. Vendors shouting, children darting between stalls, the smell of spices thick in the air. In the middle of it all, Tuna stood with a modest bundle of vegetables pressed to her chest. Her belly, though still small, bore the undeniable curve of new life. She smiled faintly, wiping sweat from her forehead, when suddenly the roar of an engine cut through the noise. A car swerved wildly, barreling toward her. Before she could react, the impact sent her sprawling to the ground. The bundle burst apart, carrots and beans scattering across the dusty street. Gasps filled the air, but no one rushed to help. Some froze in shock, others turned away. Tuna's cries rose weakly, her hands clutching her leg. Blood already staining the fabric of her pants. Her mind spun, not for herself, but for the fragile life within her. The baby. Was it safe? Her trembling fingers pressed against her abdomen, seeking reassurance. Through the blur of panic, a familiar voice pierced the chaos. "Tuna!" Alex sprinted toward her, his eyes wide with fear. Dropping to his knees, he grasped her shoulders gently. "Where does it hurt?" His voice was steady, but his hands betrayed a slight tremor. "My leg," she whispered, her face pale, sweat dripping down her temples. "It's only my leg. Don't take me to the hospital. Please, Alex. Let's just go home." He hesitated, torn between logic and her plea. He saw the swelling, the blood, and his heart clenched. Yet her eyes, filled with stubbornness even through the pain, left him powerless to argue. Swallowing his worry, Alex nodded and lifted her carefully, supporting her weight as if she were made of glass. The market's noise dimmed as he guided her away, every step echoing with unspoken fear. Clouds gathered overhead, the day's brightness fading as though the heavens themselves mourned her suffering. Alex's jaw tightened. In that moment, his silent vow was clear. He would not let her face this pain alone. Back at the farm, the world slowed. The familiar scent of earth and crops lingered in the air, a fragile comfort against the sharp sting of reality. Tuna sat on a wooden stool, her face contorted in pain. The wound on her leg, red and swollen, spoke of the cruelty of chance. Alex fetched a basin of warm water, setting it beside her with deliberate care. Kneeling, he dipped a cloth into the water and began to clean the wound. Dirt and dried blood washed away in thin rivulets, staining the water red. Tuna bit down on her lip, her knuckles white as she gripped the seat. "Just a little longer," Alex murmured softly, his voice steady as a lullaby. "Hold on, Tuna." She nodded faintly, closing her eyes against the sting. When he reached for the first aid kit, her heart swelled, not from the pain, but from the tenderness etched into his every movement. He applied ointment, his hands gentle, almost reverent, then wrapped the bandage securely around her leg. The farm fell quiet. broken only by the hum of insects and the distant call of a bird. Tuna's breath slowed, her gaze softening as she watched Alex. "I feel better," she whispered. Alex smiled, though worry still lingered in his eyes. His thoughts strayed to the baby. Their baby, nestled within her, unseen yet so vulnerable. What if the accident had harmed the child? He buried the thought, focusing instead on the hope reflected in Tuna's eyes. A breeze rustled the vegetable patch, carrying the scent of earth and promise. The neat bandage around her leg wasn't just protection, it was a silent vow. A vow that he would stand by her no matter the trials to come. As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in hues of amber, Alex carried a tray of flower pots toward the gate. Tuna, still weak, sat watching him with a puzzled smile. "What are those for?" she asked, her voice softer than usual. "Flowers," Alex replied simply, setting down the pots. Among them were bright daisies, small marigolds, and even a cactus with spiny resilience. He picked up a small shovel and began digging holes in the soil. Tuna tilted her head, her curiosity piqued. "Why a cactus?" "Because it reminds me of you," he said, glancing at her with a grin. "Strong, enduring. Even in harsh conditions, it thrives." Her lips curved into a smile, eyes glistening as her fingers brushed the cactus's sturdy leaves. She felt its toughness, its will to live, so much like her own. Together, they planted the flowers, dirt sticking to their hands. Alex insisted she not strain herself, but Tuna still scooped a handful of soil, laughing softly at his concerned protests. The farm, usually filled with labor, now bloomed with laughter and quiet companionship. The blooms became more than decoration. They were symbols of resilience and renewal. As dusk settled, the once barren corner of the farm transformed into a small garden, vibrant with hope. Tuna leaned back, her leg aching, but her spirit lighter. Gratitude swelled within her, not just for the flowers, but for Alex, whose presence softened even the harshest trials. Later, in the farm's modest kitchen, a warm glow filled the air. The scent of grilled meat mingled with boiled vegetables, simple yet comforting. Despite her injury, Tuna had insisted on cooking. The meal was humble: meat, greens, and sweet papaya from their own garden. But it carried the taste of her effort and love. She set the dishes on the table, lowering herself carefully onto the bench. Across from her, Alex sat, his gaze tender, his smile faint but warm. They ate slowly, talking about the flowers, the cactus, and how the farm would soon be brighter with color. Every bite of papaya was sweet, almost like the earth itself was blessing them. Alex praised the food, but then grew serious. "Tuna, you need to rest more, especially now. You're carrying our child." Her eyes softened. For a moment, she forgot the pain in her leg, focusing only on his words. The intimacy in the air was quiet, yet unshakable, wrapping around them like a protective embrace. When the meal ended, Alex rose reluctantly, reminding her to change her bandage later. He had a company meeting to attend, but his concern lingered in every word. At the doorway, she called softly, "Alex, thank you." He turned, his smile gentle, always. Under the crescent moon, his figure disappeared into the night. Tuna remained at the kitchen table, her hand resting on the bandage around her leg. The flowers outside swayed gently in the breeze, as though whispering of Alex's kindness. Though the night stretched on, the warmth he left behind lingered, a small flame of hope flickering in her heart. The farm, quiet and serene, became a sanctuary of healing. Pain had not vanished, but within its shadow bloomed something stronger, the certainty that even in life's harshest storms, compassion could light the way forward. The morning sun rose gently over the farm, casting soft golden light across the fields. Dew shimmered on the leaves, but inside the farmhouse, the air was heavy with unease. Tuna sat quietly on the wooden bed, her hands resting on her stomach. Though her leg throbbed with pain, her thoughts were far from her wound. Her mind circled back to the accident, to the possibility she dreaded most. The baby inside her might not survive. Her breaths quickened as worry pressed against her chest. She tried to convince herself the child was safe, but every twinge in her belly made her heart pound with fear. She reached down, caressing the curve of her stomach, whispering, "Stay with me. Please, stay strong." The door creaked open, and Alex stepped in, carrying a tray with a bowl of rice porridge. He paused at the sight of her pale face, his brow furrowing. "You didn't sleep much, did you?" Tuna shook her head, forcing a faint smile. "I couldn't. I kept thinking about the baby." Alex set the tray down, sitting beside her. He placed a steady hand over hers, resting it gently on her stomach. "Listen, Tuna. Our child is strong, just like you. Don't let fear take over." His voice carried a calm certainty, though inside, he too wrestled with the same fear. "Eat," he urged softly, lifting the spoon toward her. "You need strength, for both of you." She hesitated but nodded, letting him feed her. Each spoonful felt less like food and more like reassurance, his care anchoring her fragile spirit. Later that afternoon, Alex decided he couldn't ignore the nagging thought in his mind. He needed confirmation that both Tuna and the baby were safe. Though she had refused before, he insisted gently but firmly this time. "Tuna, we have to go to the hospital," he said. "I can't risk your health, or the baby's." Her lips pressed into a thin line. Fear of doctors and hospitals had always unsettled her, but the sincerity in Alex's gaze left her no room to argue. Finally, she nodded. "All right, but you'll stay with me the whole time?" "Every second," Alex promised. At the hospital, the sterile scent of disinfectant clung to the air. Tuna lay on the examination bed, her hands clutching Alex's tightly. The doctor moved the ultrasound probe over her belly, eyes scanning the screen intently. The seconds stretched unbearably long. Tuna's heart raced. She squeezed Alex's hand until her knuckles turned white. He whispered near her ear, "Breathe. Just breathe." Then a sound filled the room. The steady, rapid beat of a tiny heart. Tuna's tears welled instantly. "That's our baby?" The doctor nodded, finally smiling. "Yes, the heartbeat is strong. There's a risk because of the fall, but for now, the baby is holding on. You must rest, avoid heavy work, and take care of yourself." Relief swept over them both, though the warning hung in the air like a fragile thread. Tuna wept silently, her free hand moving to her belly. "Thank you, she whispered. though it wasn't clear if her gratitude was for the doctor, for Alex, or for the tiny heartbeat that refused to give up. Alex pressed his forehead to hers, his own eyes glistening. "We'll protect this child together," he vowed. Back at the farm, the atmosphere shifted. Alex grew stricter, gently scolding Tuna whenever she tried to lift buckets or tend to the animals. No more heavy work, he reminded her constantly, often stepping in to take over the chores himself. At first, she resisted. "I can't just sit around while you do everything." "Yes, you can," Alex countered firmly, "because right now, you're carrying the most important part of our lives." His seriousness left her speechless. Slowly, she began to accept his care, though guilt lingered each time she watched him work late into the evening. She tried to help in smaller ways, chopping vegetables, feeding chickens grain, arranging the flowers they had planted together. The cactus by the gate bloomed unexpectedly one morning, its flower delicate yet fierce. Tuna stared at it for a long while, tracing its petals with her finger. She smiled to herself, whispering, "Just like me." Weeks passed, and Tuna's leg began to heal, though she still walked with a limp. The fear of losing the baby never fully left her, but the steady rhythm of farm life, Alex's presence, and the growing bond with the child inside her gave her strength. One evening, Alex returned from the fields, carrying a small wooden cradle he had carved himself. He placed it gently in the corner of their room. Tuna's eyes widened. "You made this?" He nodded, brushing dust from his clothes. "Every night after work. It's not perfect, but I wanted to be ready." Tears welled in her eyes as she ran her hand along the smooth wood. "Alex, it's beautiful." He crouched beside her, his voice low. "One day soon, our baby will sleep here, safe, loved. That's all I want." She leaned into him, her heart swelling with gratitude. For the first time since the accident, hope outweighed fear. But life rarely stayed calm for long. One morning, as Tuna tended the garden lightly, a sharp pain twisted through her abdomen. She froze, her hand flying to her belly. Panic surged instantly. "Alex!" she cried out, her voice trembling. He rushed over, dropping the tools in his hands. Seeing her pale face and the way she clutched herself, his chest constricted. "What's wrong?" "The baby," she gasped, her knees buckling. Alex caught her just before she collapsed, his heart thundering. Fear clawed at him, but he forced his voice steady. "Hold on, Tuna. I've got you." Carrying her in his arms, he ran toward the farmhouse, every step fueled by desperation. He didn't know if this was another scare or the nightmare they had dreaded since the accident. But one thing was certain. He would fight with everything in him to protect her and their child. The sun, once bright, disappeared behind a veil of clouds, casting the farm in a somber shadow. The future teetered on a fragile edge, where love, fear, and fate collided in a battle yet to be decided.